What is up, my friends? Hey, welcome. In this episode of the podcast, I'm going to give you permission to stop using social media if you want to stop. I'm also going to share what I think is a very smart strategy that you can use if you are going to use social media to market your business so that you can still have a life. And I'm going to share what I think is the best thing that you can do, regardless of whether or not you're using social media, but especially if you're using social media, something that will help you build a sustainable business. What's up, friends? I'm Ryan Coral. Welcome to the Grow Your Video Business podcast. I'm so happy that you are here, and lo and behold, today we're going to be talking about social media, and for those of you who know me, you know that I have this love-hate relationship with social media, and I'll get into a little bit of that before I set this up, but I'm going to equip you with some what I think are solid strategies and to help you, because I think there's this feeling when you are a business owner that you have to, you've got to do sales, you got to do marketing, you got to do production, you've got to do the operations, finances, all that stuff in your business. And it can be hard to really know where to start, or maybe you're in the middle of marketing and you're using social media, but maybe you're in the middle of doing all that and you kind of forgot why you're doing it. You're not seeing the impact that you hoped that you would. So I think for some of you, I'm going to encourage you to say hey, you know what? You don't actually have to use social media to build a business. But if you are using it and you have traction and momentum, there are some ways that you can use it and leverage it so that you're maximizing the time that you're spending. I speak from experience in this topic today because for our corporate filmmaking business, my social media presence is just embarrassing. It's really bad. So I'll get into all of that in a second here, but if you haven't taken advantage of my free workshop on how you can consistently earn over six figures in your commercial filmmaking business, I have a completely free workshop where I go over the key things that have helped me build the foundation for the production business that I have. I talk about 3 must-have components for marketing to your dream client. I share my secret on how I get my clients to pay me way more than my competition. And the way that I know that is I ask them after they hire us. And I also share how you can build your own automated lead machine to help you fill your funnel so that you can avoid feast or famine. In the free workshop, I am giving you the framework that I use to lead my team, to find new clients, and grow my own corporate filmmaking business that I've been doing for the last 17 years. So if you want your own sustainable business that has predictable income, even if you're only spending 30 minutes a day working on your business, I'm going to share with you the things that you can be doing in this workshop. It is my gift to you. You can unlock the workshop if you go to studiosherpas.com/workshop. It's totally free, and I think you'll find a lot of value in it if you haven't already gone through it. Okay, let's talk about my favorite thing, social media. I recently was a speaker at an event called Social Media Week Lima, and my friend Jessica invited me, and she's so incredibly sweet. She's been on this podcast before. Not only is she incredibly sweet, but she is incredibly smart and has built an awesome marketing team. She has, I think, 16, 17, 18 employees, and she's just crushing it. And this event was amazing. The people I met were amazing. Her session was amazing. I've actually been in talks with her since then about having her help our team with some of the marketing stuff that we're wanting to do. A little bit more about my story. When I built my business, I was doing all the things. Fast forward to today, I've got a team. I've got a couple of filmmakers that are shooting, editing, planning, production, building budgets, and all that stuff. I have a project manager. I've got an executive assistant. But if you look at our organization chart, there's the visionary, the integrator, and then the three branches of the business are the operations, which is like HR, finances, taxes, all that stuff. The second branch is our production. So project managers, filmmakers, editors, that's where all the work gets done. And then we've got sales and marketing. And that's all the sales and marketing stuff. I am in charge of, I'm the visionary for the company. So I'm kind of like sitting up here because I'm just, I'm on the top. I can't talk. I lead the ship, but then I also am in charge of sales and marketing. Those are my two main roles in the company. And I just had this epiphany, I think coming off of this week, speaking at this event and hanging out with all these incredible people and just learning lots and lots. I have become the bottleneck. There are multiple places in my business that I have been the bottleneck, and when I realize that I'm the bottleneck, I try to create a plan to remove myself so that I am no longer the bottleneck. When I look at sales and marketing, I look at how much time I actually invest in sales and marketing, and it is the amount of time and energy that I personally spend, it's so small, which is incredible because I've built a 7-figure video production company. And to think wow, what if we actually had a really, really, if Ryan spent 80% of his time doing sales and marketing, holy cow. But here's the thing. I don't want to spend 80% of my time. I want to spend zero. Honestly, I want to spend 0% of my time doing sales and marketing. I want to spend 80% of my time being the visionary for the company, coming up with ideas, building big partnerships, big relationships, and then finding, a project that I want to hop into and be a part of, and or dreaming of a project that I want to create and have our team create. So that's how I want to spend my time. So in the past couple of weeks, I realized I need to hire somebody, even if it's a contractor or an agency that will take over our sales and marketing. And so that's how I began discussion with Jessica. Just in the past couple of days, saying hey, what would it look like if you guys were to help us? What can you guys do? Here's what I made her a 10-minute video where I just kind of talked about some different things that I'm wanting to do in our business and share that with her. And then she sent me some messages back, and we're going to have a discovery call and all that stuff. So it's another bottleneck. And I'm man, if I can get released from sales and marketing for this business and I can just come up with ideas and then people can implement the ones that are good ideas, that's the dream. That is where I really want to be. Because I would love to be able to hop in or speak into production if I want to, but I don't even feel like I have the time to be able to do that because I'm trying to do all these other things to grow our business. So the irony of this episode might be okay, why is Ryan talking to us about social media if he doesn't like it and his own presence on social media is pretty embarrassing? Well, I know because I built my business off of the power of social media. The first 8 years of our business, we were hardcore wedding filmmakers, creating, these gorgeous short form videos for clients all over the world. And we would post these, 5-minute, 7-minute, 10-minute videos, and they would get thousands of views. They would get shared on wedding blogs. They would get shared by our couples families, the bridal party. People were sharing. It was just viral content. And we got a ton of business. We got a ton of referral from posting, from the blog posts. This was back in the day when blogging was the thing. And then Facebook came out, so we could share our blogs on Facebook or share the videos on Facebook. And it just worked. I knew exactly how I needed to craft these posts for brides, grooms, wedding planners, venues, tagging, the different wedding professionals that we were working with. It was just easy. When we pivoted to building a corporate filmmaking business and working with businesses, it was a lot more challenging because people just weren't as crazy about our corporate films as they were about our wedding films. People like them, especially our clients like them, but when it came to shareability, when it came to virality, we just weren't ever really sure, and we didn't really ever nail it when it came to, we would create what we thought was an awesome piece, for a nonprofit that had an incredible mission, but we would share it on our social, and it would just be it just wouldn't get much traction. Our clients would share it on theirs, and because they have their own audience, it would get views, from their audience. But for us, my hope in creating this stuff and sharing it on our social is that it would create more work for us, like it did back when we were doing weddings, that we would get new opportunities. So I have experience, and it worked when we were really niched down. And that's one of the secrets here, is that if you're not niched down in your video business and you're just sharing content, you're posting on different social media platforms, hoping that something catches, chances are, if it's like a finished video for a client, it's not going to have the kind of traction or momentum that you're hoping, unless it really has some virality to it. If it's just like a crazy wild video and it has like, just it's super funny or something crazy happens in it. If it's just a standard corporate video, like an About Us or something, and maybe it's gorgeous, it's probably not going to see or have the kind of success that you want it to have. And so, today we have a strategy, and if you follow me for 2 seconds, you know that LinkedIn is the smartest place for us to be posting what we want to share. That's where our ideal clients are hanging out, and if something we create is going to go viral, I don't even like that word, that's the place that we want, that we know our potential clients are going to be hanging out, and so that's where we want to be investing. One of the reasons why I don't like social media is because I feel like there is this, it's just like, it's like ingrained in our brains, like this is how you market your business. You have to have a Facebook page, Instagram, every website has the little icons of like the social platforms that you're on. And every website has, like multiple, nobody has just like one social site. It's like connect with us on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Pinterest. And it's just like, wow, like that is it's overwhelming just to see all those different places. And then to think through like, man, are they crafting content, specific content for each of those websites? And it can become a full-time job in and of itself. And so part of like why I even want to bring this topic up is because I want you to have permission. I want to give you permission to say like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that to build a successful business. You don't have to do multiple channels. You don't have to post consistently. It breaks my heart when I see people with their phones out on vacation or anywhere that's not work, and they're shooting stuff for their stories, and it's not like a personal brand. They're like a business, and they want to like show every part, because they feel like, well, the more content we create, we know that content is king. So the more that we do, the more that we show that we're active, the more people are going to see, we're going to stay top of mind. And I just think that's like really unhealthy. And I know that might not be like a popular opinion, but I think having balance is better. And I think being able to turn it all off is better. I mean, I have 3 kids, and I just don't want them to know me as the dad that's always pulling my phone out to post, to like a comment, to engage, to, just nonstop. Like that's just not good. So the hustle of trying to stay on top of it, I don't think it's worth it. I think part of this permission of saying like, well, maybe I don't have to, or maybe I don't have to as much. I think part of this stems with like trying to figure out like, what are your strengths? And when you can figure out what your strengths are, to use them to your advantage, that's how you can work smarter in your business and not just harder. That's how you can like not feel like you're on this like hamster wheel. You're posting a lot and there's just no traction. People aren't reaching out to you. People aren't starting conversations with you. People aren't booking discovery calls. If they're not doing those things, then like, is it working? Is it doing what you want it to do? if you can focus on the activities that bring the biggest impact to your business and do those things, that's what you should do, instead of feeling like, well, my competition is on there. But like if you realize that by spending 1 hour a week with somebody, by taking somebody out, like an ideal client, by taking somebody out to lunch once a week and spending $50 on a nice lunch, that's probably going to have a bigger impact than posting on social media every day. I have friends that post on social media every day. They own businesses and they're millionaires. So I'm not saying that by, posting every day that's bad or wrong. I just know for me, like in order for me to get as many followers as I need for that to equate to millions of dollars, it's just not worth it. That's not the game I'm in right now. With this production business, that's not the thing that is going to give us what we want. So the other thing to think about with social media is like, what is the cost of us being on our phones, being tied to having to do all of the things, to think about what to post, to craft the post, to post it, to reply to people responding, to comment on other people's things, to follow, to figure out the right hashtag strategy. Like, what is the cost of that? I said it before, that could be a full-time job. And if it's not, can you do it enough to create the traction that you need in order to see the results that you want? I'm trying to build more freedoms in my business. I want my business to work for me. I don't want to work for my business. So doing social media how I used to do it in the past doesn't work the same way today. So if we're going to do it, we need to do it differently. I think the allure of social media is it allows us to hide behind our work. It allows us to not have to feel salesy by like cold calling or like going out to lunch with somebody. It's like, okay, what am I going to give them a sales pitch? First off, no, I don't think you should do that. I think you should take people out to lunch that are ideal clients, potential clients, and just become friends with them and listen, ask really good questions, and let them ask you, like, hey, tell me more about your business. Like, let that happen. And then tell them, like, what do you love about your business? And what does it look like when somebody wants to work with you? Like, share that stuff. Know what that process is. And that's not salesy. That's like, you just trying to be helpful. If and when the opportunity comes up where you guys need a video, man, I would love to talk more about it. And we would just book a discovery call and we'd chat about it. So anyway, how's your burger? Eat up and I'll tell you. Does anybody know that reference? So there's this allure when it comes to sales and marketing that we can hide behind our work, that social media it's really easy way to justify that being enough or that being all we need to do for our sales and marketing. Because we hope that by posting our work that it will sell itself. And it can. But if that's your only strategy, if that's where you're spending most of your time and energy is hoping, that hope is not a good strategy. Most of us didn't go into this work because we wanted to sell the thing that we're doing, but there are things that we can do and that we should be doing that will easily sell our work without being sleazy and without having to commit to this this time-consuming relationship with social media. And then I've experienced this. Tell me if you relate. Say you pick Instagram, like that's your channel that you're like, okay, this is what I'm gonna use. And so you start learning Instagram. You maybe buy a course on Instagram, how to become an Instagram influencer. I don't know. But you spend all this time posting, you're not seeing a lot of traction, you're not seeing a lot of growth, or at least what you want. And then somebody says, you know what, man, you should really be on TikTok because it's exploding. You could do one video and get 100,000 views or whatever. And so then you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll learn TikTok. But I already kind of have something going on here with Instagram. So let me just kind of balance both of these. And then you're distracted. You're also running a business. So not only now are you dividing your time into two platforms, trying to learn them both, trying to, maximize your time, energy, and efforts and all that stuff. But you're also have to have discovery calls. You have to go on production. And then maybe you're hiring an assistant or another editor. And so you got to train them. It's just like, how in the world can you do all the things? You can't do all the things. So again, choose the things that are going to get you the biggest return on your investment of time and money. I think investing in relationships is a smart alternative to social media, or something to do in conjunction along with at the same time, to build relationships, because I think that's the long game. When you're investing in people, I've been doing this work for 17 years. And so I still do work today with people that I did work with 17 years ago. That's pretty impressive. And there was no social media post that I did 17 years ago that maintained that relationship. It's just about being a friend, trying to add value, being available, trying to be helpful. The ROI on that, and that's easy for me. That comes very easy. But to know that the investment that I made a long time ago is paying off today, that is invaluable. And I know stuff like YouTube and even blog posts can have a very long shelf life. So when you're considering what platforms should you be on, maybe consider platforms that do have a longer shelf life, because if you want to build a sustainable business, one that can last through time, investing in people and in relationships, that can have your best ROI, I think. So this question, and then I'm going to jump into some strategies here. What would you do, if social media didn't exist today? What would you do? How would you grow your business? You couldn't hide behind maybe you could hide behind your website. So let's say you could have a website, but how would people see your work? Because if you want them to fall in love with your work and hire you because of your work, they've got to be able to see it. So somehow there are some other things. So think through, I don't know, maybe you would do cold calling. Maybe you would knock on doors. Goodness gracious. When I started my business, I thought that's what I was going to have to do, was knock on doors. And that was my plan. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do it because I really want to do video. But also, what about speaking at events, or going to events, attending at events, and not just sitting in your seat and absorbing the information that's being taught from stage, but actually going with the intention of man, I want to spend more time in the hallway, connecting with people, meeting people, finding out what people do, finding out what people care about, finding out what their passions are, finding out what they're most excited about in their business, finding out what they're most proud of, going to events and spending time in the hallway, meeting as many people as you can. And I know if you're introverted, that can sound very exhausting, but I know you have it in you to spend a couple of hours or a handful of hours once a month or once a quarter to go to an event with the intention of meeting people and collecting business cards or getting selfies with people and getting their email addresses or their Insta handles. I don't know. How do you kids talk these days? There are things that you can be doing that can complement a social media strategy, could actually be better than a social media strategy. But I think it's important to remember that there are more ways to market your business than just going all in on social media. I think being social, just being social, I love that, the social and media go together, and it's oh, we've got this thing. But if you can just be social, you'll be able to build trust a lot faster and build relationships that will last a lot longer. And I don't know. I'm in this for the long game. I want this business to run for at least another 17 years, and me to reap the rewards of the investments that I'm making today. Okay, so if you're going to invest time on social media with the intent of trying to market your business, then we need to have a strategy. And part of that is like starting with the end in mind. And I think one of those ends should be not just like to market your business, but it should be like, man, I want to get leads. I want to get discovery calls. I want people to sign up to my email list. Don't just think like, well, I want to be top of mind, like that next step. I want to be top of mind so that people call me, so that people reach out, people email me, they DM me, like they take a step so that we can connect. So start with the end in mind. And I say, like, I think you can have a personal brand like on Facebook or even Instagram or LinkedIn, and just post, your family and activities and your vacations. I think that's fine because people can get to know you as a person. But I also think that you need to know, well, what is my goal here? What's my goal with this specific post? But then what's my goal with social media in general? I think being top of mind is good, but being top of mind so that what? Like if you only post on LinkedIn stuff with your family, unless you're like a full-time babysitter or something like that, how are people going to know what you do or how you can help them? Because they're thinking, what's in it for me? And if they just see like, oh, this nice guy that loves his family and goes on vacation, like that's cool. But if they also see this guy that he's filming some behind the scenes on set with some big client, and they're creating a video for this big client's like book launch, it's like, oh wow, that's cool. So they do video for book launch, and they've got like a team, and they look like they know what they're doing. Oh, they have a studio. Oh, this is cool. Whoa, those cameras, that looks way more expensive than my little iPhone. There are things like that. If you have an intentional strategy, outside of just posting and being present, I think being present with the intent of trying to connect, trying to help people feel like they can take a next step, and that they might know what that next step might be. All right, now I'm going to just share some things that I think can help make social media work for you. One is to message people directly. Hopping on Instagram, hopping on LinkedIn, and sending somebody a short video or a short audio that where you tell them how you appreciate what they're posting, what they're about. Starting there, that can be a very powerful tool. So this doesn't even require you to have to post anything, but the strategy could be, hey, I'm going to have a social media account so that I can reach out to people. I can encourage them. I can tell them, what I like about what they're doing. And I can ask them if they would ever be open to a coffee or a virtual coffee or lunch or something like that. That's a smart strategy. I think another strategy, like if you are a person that really likes posting, I like you. I still like you. I don't have anything against that. You might love posting on social media, and that's totally fine. I can get behind that. But what I can't get behind is not having a clear idea on how much time should you be spending on social media. How much time should you be crafting posts and engaging and all that stuff. And I really think that you could create some kind of like, hey, I shouldn't spend more than an hour a day or 5 hours a week or 10 minutes a day or something like that, because you really need to know if you're spending time on social media, you're not doing something else. You're not, unless you don't even care and you're 9 p.m. like, oh, I'm going to post, and just know like you're tied to your business at that point. You're working for your business instead of your business working for you when it's 9 o'clock at night and you're, my personal thought is like you should be having some downtime or spending time with your family or friends at 9 p.m. at night. But maybe there's some midnight filmmakers out there, and that's when they work. And I will say, I sort of take this back. I know some people love working at night and they prefer working at night. So, but if you're starting work at like 8 a.m. and then you're stopping at 6 p.m., you're eating dinner, and then you're picking right back up after that, and you're working until, 12 or 1 in the morning. That's probably not super healthy. But having some kind of boundary where you say, I'm going to spend this much time, I think in doing that, you're going to work a lot more efficiently. If you know that you only have 10 minutes a day, start a timer, and that's when you have to craft your posts. And then maybe the next day is when you do the post, and you 10 minutes the next day is when you're going to engage with other people's accounts or whatever it is that you're going to do. Having a timer, knowing how much time you want to commit per day or per week, I think is really smart. I think something else that would be smart, which is what I do, is I delegate it. So just handing off the parts of social media that you don't want to do, that you don't like doing. For this podcast, I record the episodes, and then I have a team that has access to Riverside, that has access to Google Drive, that has all the files. They edit it. They create the little audiograms that we post on social. I don't hardly ever go on there. I manage my personal account, and I do a really poor job of posting new stuff there, but I'll or I'll add stuff to my stories. But I'm not spending hours a day on social media. I just don't want to. I have other things that I want to do. So to have a team and to delegate that stuff is a really smart way. If you know that social media can help your business grow, delegate it. Hand off, or at least hand off the parts that you don't like doing. Like for me, I would never delegate this podcast. Like I want to do the show. Like this is super fun for me. So that's one part that I wouldn't want to delegate. But editing it, no thank you. I got time for that, Having a clear goal, like defining what is winning on social media. That is a really smart strategy to say, like, okay, if I'm going to post, if I'm going to commit to this, I'm going to try LinkedIn for 3 months or 6 months, but having a goal and saying by the end of 3 months, I want to see X. I want to have had 3 discovery calls over 3 months. If I'm going to commit to 30 minutes a day, if I'm going to commit to 30 minutes a day on social media, let's see that, over the course of 3 months, that equals, I have no idea, 30 hours. And if I can have this many calls, I know that I might book one of those. One of those might turn into an actual job. So I hope after 3 months, I've found one relationship on social media that turn into a new client. That would be worth it. Because again, when you're able to identify how much time you're investing in social media posting and planning and all that stuff, and you got to equate it to like, well, what's your time worth, and what is it going to take in order for it to be worth it for you? If it just takes one client and you're only spending an hour a week, and you know that every month you're getting a new client, that's 4 hours to get a new client. For us, an average client is close to $20,000. It's definitely worth the time and energy if that's all it's going to take for us to get one new client. So define what is winning. Get clear on what your goal is there. On just another tip, it's like work smarter, not harder. You should only be using social media if it's a time-effective strategy. So as you're doing the calculations of like, okay, what is the end result? What do I need after a week or months doing this? If you start doing the math and you realize like, man, I'm going to be spending way more time doing this, and the return that I've seen or the return that I want, I'm just not sure I'm going to get there, then consider something else. If you're just hoping that, staying consistent and posting that you're waiting for one thing to go viral, I don't want to discourage you, but I also want to say, like, how much time is it going to take, and what are the chances? And if you took that same amount of time and invested it in people that you already know are your ideal clients, and finding them and spending time with them, could that have a bigger impact? Another freedom that I want to give you is to not use all the platforms. Focus on one. Pick one and like let that one be your home. And pick the one that you're not going to have to work the hardest on. So don't just pick Twitter because everybody's on Twitter. Pick the one where your specific audience is spending time. And you can segment them in a way. That's why I like LinkedIn. You know, we use Sales Navigator, and so we've got this dialed in. We've got different groups for our ideal clients, and we can put people in those groups really easily. We can segment like all the people that we're connected to or people that we're not connected to by region, by job title, by industry, all of those things. And that has been the quickest, easiest way for us to make connections versus like hopping on something like Instagram. And like if I want to work with PR firms, I can search PR firms on Instagram, but the depth and the detail of how I can search that on LinkedIn far outweighs what it can do in like any other platform that I've found. And I also know that LinkedIn, that's where people are doing business, expect to do business. Business happens there. Business can happen in the other platforms, and it does. It definitely does. But again, I'm only going to speak from what I know and what I've had experience and success with. So don't feel like you have to use all of the platforms. Perfect one, get it to a place where it's working for you. And then if you want to add another one and it doesn't take much more time or you do know that you're going to see some kind of results, then start investing in or delegate that for somebody else to do. Another thing to consider too, I've just got a couple more things here, but show your face, show your team. The best sales and marketing is where you are building trust with your ideal clients. And the best way to build trust is to show up and let them see you. They might not like what you look like. And if somebody doesn't want to hire you because of what you look like, well, probably better that you don't work with them. Maybe they don't like what you sound like. Maybe they don't like how you act. Maybe they don't like that you laugh at your own jokes. Sorry, that's me. And if that's the case, get a no as soon as possible. Let people weed themselves out. Don't be afraid that you're going to offend people or you're not going to be liked by all of the people, because you're just not, right? None of us are. And if you can get them to say no to you before even meeting you, then you're going to save them time and you're going to save yourself time from having a conversation. You know, I'm a goofball. I'm sarcastic and irreverent, and you know, I have a faith and like all of these different things that's like, you know, it kind of makes me unique. And for some people, that's a total turnoff. And great, cool. Like we probably wouldn't do great working together because you'd probably be annoyed with me. So the sooner you can find out that I'm the way that I am, the better for us both. I only want to work with people that they don't have to be like me, but they have to like get me. You know what I mean? And I think that that's the most helpful thing that you can do. So showing up, letting people see your face, letting people know you. I mean, having a little about us video that is you, that's your story. It doesn't have to be long. It can be 30 seconds. I think that's really, really helpful. Showing your team, if you have people that you work with, even if it's just contractors, people that you enjoy working with, but letting them see you behind the scenes versus like finished work. That's why for us, when we share finished pieces, or when we used to, we didn't get much traction, but then we share behind the scenes, maybe of that particular project, and it's just like, you know, shot on an iPhone or something like that versus the red camera that we're using. But we get so much more engagement on the behind the scenes stuff. It's because people want to be a part of the process. They want to feel like they're a part of, versus like just, you know, seeing the end, the polish, like, how did you get there? Okay, I saw the first 10 seconds and it looked really good, but like, show me how you got there. There's a whole reason why, you know, in film, they hire crews just to do behind the scenes because they know that it's so valuable. People that aren't even into filmmaking love to be brought into how did this even happen? And we're seeing it on shows, so many shows. It's like, hey, watch after this episode, watch the making of, or we go deeper into the episode, and you're hearing from the director or the producer or the cast, and like that's just so interesting. It's way more interesting than, I mean, the show's great, but like to hear that they have an accent, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know they had an accent. That's crazy. That's so interesting. So I don't want to combine those two things. I think showing up, letting people see your face, and letting people see your team is really, really important. And then in addition, having behind the scenes, like if you're going to posting behind the scenes, I think that can get you so much more traction. The last thought that I have on all of this is that if you're not building an email list, if you're not using social media to build your email list, if you're not using social media, fine, sure. If I talked you out of it and you're like, yeah, no, I'm peacing out of social media. Thanks for permission, Ryan. But if you're not trying to build your email list, social media, that's all owned by, Facebook, YouTube, Meta, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't own any of the social media platforms. They could shut down at any point. They could change the rules of how they operate, how you do business. They could say, like, you know what, we're not doing business accounts anymore. So if you have a business, peace, like we're closing down in 6 months. If you're building an email list, you control the narrative. You can message people when you want. You can create all kinds of value. You can do whatever you want when you have their email address, and it's going to end up in their inbox. If you're on social and you're posting, you have to hope that people are going to find you. Your post is going to show up on their thread, and that they're going to be able to engaged, and you're hoping that you catch them. Maybe they do see your post, but they see another post right underneath it that looks a little more interesting, and so they're just scrolling. But if you can email them and say, hey, here's our latest post, or hey, here's what we're up to. Hey, check out this behind the scenes. Hey, we're running a discount or a promotion on something. Hey, we're launching something new. If you can have email addresses of your ideal clients, that is the long game. That's investing in the long game. That will set you up for success. So as the platforms change, if it's like, okay, TikTok goes away and there's a new one, and you had 1 million followers on TikTok, but now everybody's on Clubhouse or they're elsewhere. If you're on all those platforms and you're telling people, hey, I've got something very special for you, go sign up here and get access to this thing, kind of like I did at the beginning of this episode. I don't know if you noticed that. But, if you're not on my email list, there's a chance that you might not see this episode, or if you follow me on social, there's a chance that you might not see the post that we're going to post. But if you're on my email list, there's a pretty good chance that, unless I'm going into your spam, that you're going to at least see the email. It says, hey, new episode. Hey, Onward Summit. Hey, free workshop. Hey, we've got, cool stuff going on. If there was one regret that I had, it's like not starting an email list from day one. A few years in, we did start an email list, and it worked amazing with our wedding clients, and it works pretty good for our corporate clients. And we're learning some better ways on how to engage with our ideal clients using email. And if everything else went away and we only had email, and we could interact with people like in person, like those two things, that's all we would need, I think, to build this business. And if we couldn't meet in person, having email, that could sustain us. It has. So I hope this was helpful. Leave a comment. Let me know if it was. Is there something that stood out? Do you totally not agree with me? That's fine too. I'm always up to learn more, and would love to just kind of hear where you're coming from. If you don't know, I host this event called the Onward Summit. It's a bunch of filmmakers that are going to come together to our studio in Lake Orion, Michigan. You have no idea where Lake Orion's at unless you've been to the Onward Summit. It is about 45 minutes north of Detroit. This event is happening in October the 5th through the 8th. And if you're watching this right now, I am doing this live. But if you're listening to the replay, I probably will have announced it by now. But if I haven't, and you're listening now, I just got a verbal commitment from my friend Patrick Moreau from Muse Storytelling, who is going to be one of our keynote speakers, which I am just so stinking fired up about. He's got some unbelievable stuff that he is doing currently. He's always doing crazy cool stuff. But he's going to be with us, and Grant Peel. Yeah, I think that's his last name. Grant is going to be with him, and I've had both of them on the show. Patrick's been on the show multiple times, but they're going to be at the Onward Summit. So grab your ticket, learn more about the Onward Summit. You just need to go to studiosherpas.com/onward, and it is going to be super stinking awesome. I hope that you can come hang out for some days of learning and days of just like networking, connecting with other filmmakers, asking questions, sharing struggles and frustrations, the hallway conversations that happen in between the sessions, dinner together, drinks at night, the activities that we're going to do. There's just lots of opportunity to overcome imposter syndrome, to overcome the feeling of competition, but really to be able to build community. So if you're considering it, I definitely want to nudge you, and we've got a payment plan currently, and we still have a discount. If you're interested, go sign up now. It's studiosherpas.com/onward. That's it, my friend. I'm so happy. Thank you for making it this far in this episode. I will see you on next week's episode, where we're going to talk about something else. All right, until then, I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.